Mr. Investor, welcome back to the channel, baby. There's a lot that's been going on with our favorite stock, BioNano Genomics. In the past month, it's dropped 34%, but if we look at this time period here, we are roughly trading about $1.16, and all of a sudden they announced reverse split and a possible further dilution as well. So on that, it dropped 38%. We're currently trading at 72 cents. My average, I've got 54,000 shares. My average is $1.57. Now this morning we actually dropped to 64 cents and then we quickly arose back into the 70 cents region. Now we're going to explore, reverse stock split. We'll look at all the kind of issues that BioNano Genomics is currently facing. But before we get into the video, please hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, drop me some comments down below. Please always remember, none of this is financial advice. It's for entertainment only. So first things first, reverse stock split. Is this going to happen? At the start of 2022, at the end of the first quarter, we had on the balance sheet BioNano Genomics $216.5 million in cash equivalents. Second quarter, this had been burnt down to $187.3 million in cash. And remember, they started to look at acquisitions, so they started to acquire BioDiscovery. They also went on to acquire, at the end of 2022, November 28th, that they wanted to acquire Purigen Biosystems. So they went for a software company that specializes in, analyzing genomics data for $100 million. And then Purigen Biosystems was $32 million in cash up front, and then a further $32 million depending on some sort of circumstances. So a total of about 64 mil. So by the end of 2022, they spent operating expense was around about $137.6 million. In 2021, it was $81 million. Some of the operating expenses included $22.4 million in stock-based compensation. If they're burning around about 30 mil per quarter, and they've ended the fourth quarter with $113.2 million in cash, there's only a few quarters left before they need to raise capital. They said they have nearly $5 million in inventory to ensure supply to their customers. So this could be flow cells, saphyr systems. But when they're looking at doing the reverse split, they also put this in their kind of earnings call transcript. So say they do go for that reverse split. I think they put in there it's going to be either 5-to-1 or 10-to-1. You do a 10-for-1 split. If you had 10 shares that were $10 worth of stock, right? 10 shares, $1. If they reverse split it and they do a 10-to-1, you'll now have one share that is worth $10. But then they have the ATM facility here. Although they've amended it, there's still $200 million that can be raised under the ATM. So they can raise up to $200 million there. It means if they're selling shares, they're going to further dilute the current shareholders, all in order to raise capital in order to continue growing. But their operation expenses will increase even if their revenues increase. Will $200 million itself be enough? They put a cap on the total amount of capital can be raised up to 400 million. So I'm not sure what else they're going to do in terms of raising money if the ATM is only at 200 mil. Could they get a loan out? Interest rates are really high at the moment. In terms of scaling up, they stated that they expect 2023 it's going to be in the range of 35 mil to 38 mil, the total revenue. Bear in mind that in a quarter they burn around about 33 mil, 34 mil, and as they continue growing, the operating expenses are going to increase, although the revenue also increases. On June the 16th, 2023, so this is coming up soon, there's going to be a notice of annual meeting of stockholders, and they recommend that we vote before this meeting. They encourage us to vote your shares prior to the annual meeting. So they want you to vote on these 5 matters. Matter number 1 is with regards to directors. So they want to elect 3 nominees for Class 2 directors, and these directors will stay on until 2026. Next, they want us to vote with regards to compensation. So in terms of companies named executive officers, they want this proposal to be known as the Say on Pay proposal. Proposal 3 is with regards to a registered public accounting firm who's going to be running the accounts at the end of this year. So they're saying, do you want BDO USA by the audit committee of the board of directors to serve as the company's registered public accounting firm? 4, now this was the big one, the stock split. So they want us to vote to see if we want to do a reverse stock split of the common stock for a ratio between 1-for-5 and 1-for-10. So this doesn't actually change the market cap of the company, but in terms of the sentiment, the market sentiment, it's usually when a company announces reverse stock split, it's usually perceived as a negative thing. So people start to dump the stock, as you've seen recently. And in terms of the reverse stock split proposal, to approve an adjournment of the annual meeting, so to delay it if they can't reach an agreement in terms of the reverse stock split proposal. And this is if there's not enough sufficient votes in favor of the proposal. The other filing that came with it, which people kind of questioned and were kind of of upset about was they're going to force us into a reverse stock split is what the idea was. And the reason is they released this one preferred share, right? And they allowed David Barker, who was the chair of the company's board of directors, to purchase this one preferred share. And this one preferred share was $100, but what it had was the power of 3 billion votes. So here you can see the Series A in terms of voting, that's all it has. They focus on voting, right? In terms of voting, it will have 3 billion votes. It only has the right to vote on any reverse stock split proposal until such time as a reverse stock split proposal is approved by shareholders. It will have no voting rights on anything else apart from that reverse split. So originally I thought that this, means that he has the power to just overturn what the kind of shareholders want. So if the majority of us had voted, we still won't have the same power as 3 billion votes, because I think one share is equivalent to one vote. A little while back as well, we saw this Seeking Alpha. It was just actually the 13th of April, but what they concluded in their article was that, we're burning a lot of cash in terms of BioNano Genomics. They're burning a lot of cash and they have minimal revenue. At the current cash burn rate, they said they'll run out by the fourth quarter of 2023. So they said there's either going to be a large capital raise via debt, so taking on a loan, or more likely the equity markets. So Seeking Alpha was spot on this one. So moving forward, these are the things that are keeping me in the stock. The technology, right? Because with the management, they need to be more clear with regards to the retail shareholder. I've seen other companies like the CEO of Nano Dimension, for example, going on YouTube and just speaking about certain matters, upcoming events, things that are happening within the company in order to clear up any rumors, in order to clear up, the concerns of the shareholder. The only thing that's keeping me here is all the research that I've done in terms of the technology and the potential that I believe the technology has. So if we take a look here with the NHS's plan, you can see they're exploring long-read sequencing and optical genome mapping. They're exploring that and they want to implement it into the NHS. MedGenome in India launching, their own optical genome mapping, and it's actually India's first optical genome mapping based test, and that's for FSHD. This is one of the most common for muscular dystrophy. If we look at raredisease.org as well, in terms of prevalence, there's estimated between 4 and 10 people per 100,000 worldwide. On a website called Rare Diseases India, they say, that muscular dystrophy is about 29 per 100,000 population, so 1 in 3,500. India has a population, it states, of about 1.4 billion people at the end of 2022. 1.4 billion divided by 3,500 is about 400,000 people. Muscular dystrophy, it's as a whole. That's in terms of muscular dystrophy, but particularly for FSHD. Apparently, there are 9 different types of muscular dystrophy, and the most well-known, the most common is Duchenne muscular dystrophy. But in terms of FSHD, if we just divide it by 9, even though it's one of the more common ones, 400,000 divided by 9 is 44,444. At the current cost of flow cell, we are looking at about 19 mil, so just under $20 million worth of testing, and that's just in India. So we also saw PerkinElmer also utilize BioNano Genomics and develop whole genome optical mapping as well for FSHD. In terms of the papers that came out of Cambridge as well, I looked at that and they spoke about how optical genome mapping has already driven rapid improvements in the precision and speed and diagnosis of diseases in children, and they're now being incorporated into newborn screening. In terms of the full year revenue, say that it's on the lower side of $35 million. Let's take a look at the BioNano Genomics presentation where they stated what they believe the growth is going to be. So here on February 2nd, 2023, on the BioNano Genomics Strategy Day, these were the current financial targets. So they stated that through to 2025, it's going to be 30% to 50% compounded annual growth rate in terms of revenue. Next year, we can expect, if we get around about $35 million, we can expect $45,500,000 next year. So that's 2024. Continued 30% growth rate. We can expect $59,150,000 by 2025. Now, what if we were to do the higher estimate? So if it was to grow by 50% per year, compounded annual growth rate at 38 million at the end of this year, it would be around about $57 million by the end of 2024. And by the end of 2025, they could expect $85,500,000. But still, is this enough money when they're burning 30 mil and their operating expenses actually set to increase as well? And say past 2025, say that their revenue continues to grow at 50% compounded annual growth rate for that year. So for 2026, they can expect 188,250,000. But let's take a look at what their cash burn rate is going to be like. As you can see here, the operating expense is actually coming to scale at 40 to 60%. So they'll continue to lose money. If they're currently burning 30 million per quarter, when are we going to see that transition from, burning so much money to actually turning into profitability? And what will they be aiming for at this current rate if they want to raise money? This strategy day as well, you can see here what they believe are the drivers. Then you get all of the data validation as well on optical genome mapping to show why it will be good clinically in terms of validity and utility. Loads of publications, you get health economic data, adoption and utilization, payer specific data, inclusion in guidelines, and coding and reimbursement. Once you have that reimbursement, boom, get the medical community on board, you get the payers on board. So for us shareholders here who are here from the earliest days, are we going to be rewarded for holding out? And with all this dilution, how can they reward us when revenues continue to be quite low in terms of the ratio to expenses? So if you're making 38 million in revenue and you're going to be burn probably about 120 mil for the year, they're going to continue at this rate, and it's actually going to increase for a few years. So how will they survive? Will it just be continual dilution? And are they aiming for a buyout and acquisition? Usually some of the bigger companies as well, instead of going out and acquiring some of these smaller companies that have innovative technology, them wait for them to do all the hard work, to go through the process, to get adoption before they go in and they swoop up, even if it costs a premium, because they want to guarantee that what this innovative company has, the market wants. But sometimes some of the big boys can go after companies as well when they've made zero sales, like Grail, with Illumina trying to acquire Grail. At the moment, my game plan is to continue to hold. I'm not going to be, dollar cost averaging down, because if we are going for a reverse split and they're going to continue diluting us with ATM facility and they keep selling shares, then the stock price is going to continue to drop. So I'll just wait, and I'll have to wait till after the reverse split and after they've gained enough funds from their ATM dilution, and then I'll probably look at picking up a few shares then. But it all depends. I need to see, operating expenses lowered and revenue growth to grow. And they said, you need money to make money, but it's just quite ridiculous when you're burning so much cash. You're going to continue diluting shareholders for a long time if it continues at this rate. So will there be a buyout on the cards? I don't know. When will we start to see revenue growth, overtake the current operations spending? I don't know either. The potential for the technology, and I can see how, key opinion leaders are all looking at optical genome mapping, even with it within the NHS here in the UK. Some of the biggest scientists in the world, I had an email with them talking about, long read sequencing, optical genome mapping, some of the long range technologies and how useful they are, and if they'll be implemented to the NHS. And he said yes, and guarantee anything until we see the sales come through. And just because they believe it will be implemented in, will it be too late for BioNano Genomics? Because they need to continue to raise money and to survive during this time where we're on the edge of our seats still waiting for mass adoption and revenue spikes. Overall, I continue to hold. So in terms of my current portfolio, 95% of my portfolio I believe is in BioNano Genomics, so it's quite a lot. And currently I'm at minus 50%, minus 52%. Continue to wait and hold, and let's see what happens. Always remember as well, none of this is financial advice for entertainment only. Do you guys the best as well. Let me know what you plan on doing, if you're going to buy, if you're going to hold, if you're going to dollar cost average down, if you're not going to buy any more stock until after the reverse split. Let me know what your plans are, and let me know if you're disappointed in this decision and kind of like the management of the current finances. Let me know if you work in the biotechnology field and you understand operating costs and if they should have blown through that much money so fast and how they should have played it. Because for me, what I think they should have done was, when we had that initial spike, if they knew this is going to be a long game and they're going to be waiting for years for adoption, when there was an initial spike during that bull run in 2021, Nano Dimension managed to raise over $1 billion. That's something I believe BioNano Genomics should have done straight away. If stock price hit $15 and they were like, yeah, let's get through the ATM facility now, let's start spilling shares out onto the market, let's raise money now, because we're going to need this long term if we're going to go for FDA, which they've started to talk about now. So although they already have the machine, and you don't necessarily need FDA approval because you can use laboratory developed tests, I saw that they might start to go with it for the new high throughput saphyr system. So yeah, let me know how they should have played the game, what should have been their strategy in terms of raising capital so they can last long term until they get adoption. Thank you very much for watching, wishing you the very best. Please also remember, none of this is financial advice for entertainment only, and I'll catch you in the next video. Mr. Investor Lot, over and out, baby.